Measure to end property taxes in North Dakota will be up to the voters in November. North Dakota's Secretary of State reviewed petitions submitted and says more than 35,000 signatures were accepted, which was over the required threshold. It will be measure number 4 on the November 5th general election ballot. If the measure passes, the state would have to replace over $1.3 billion a year starting in 2025. According to a preliminary legislative research estimate.